Allison, roll call.
Sarah?
Here.
Neil?
Here.
Betty? Here. Hank?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
All present.
And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Neil, would you lead?
Yes, thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the very top of the agenda, so we don't have to keep you too long, we have an insurance presentation from Meg Insurance.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Dayton King. I represent NBT Mang Insurance. I had passed out proposals previously, but here's one for everyone as well, in case you didn't bring it with you. I also have business cards if you want to take one and pass it along. I don't know how much you want to go over, but I think it's important, especially for new board members, if you've been here for a while, just to understand how you're covered, what's covered, and what happens if there's a claim, and some of the training. So why don't I start from start from the back. There's 3 pages, it looks like this, and the back of that.
Can we have a copy of that?
What's that?
Can we have a copy of that too?
You want to see? I use the same copy, but I'll copy one of yours already. You take that one and I'll copy it.
So this front page here, you can see it says a NYMER overall rate change. So just a little history. NYMER was a brainchild of the New York Conference of Mayors, the Association of Towns, and the Association of Counties. When insurance companies were on a roller coaster up and down, they really couldn't have a consistent price. So they started in 1994 and actually started in Fulton County by the gentleman of Doug Jones, joined forces with Association of Towns, NICOM, and Association of Counties. And what they wanted to do was make it be non-for-profit with government officials, just like you folks. Full disclosure, I'm also the mayor of the city of Gloversville in Fulton County, so just like us folks. So I certainly feel your pain, and I know what it's like to be new as well, and a lot of information. So you can see the first several years it was flat. Obviously, the first year there was a 9.3% reduction in 1999, and then you can see where all these increases happened. You can probably guess right in 2001, it happened after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, which is very difficult to get reinsurance at that time. So NYMER increased for about 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, very high percentages, and then it went to a rate decrease from 2008 until 2014. Last year was flat, and for the first time in over 7 years, they're taking a 3.5% increase. And the reason for that increase was in 2015, they saw the most first quarter losses in history. So there was a county, actually Delaware County, had a multi-million-dollar automobile loss. Another county had a general liability loss. So Moody's actually downgraded them from an A to an A minus. Again, they never wanted to be an A-rated company, but that's kind of how we got there. NYMER has over 900 municipalities. That's all they do is municipalities, towns, villages, cities, counties. We also insure the Montgomery County Sanitary District. Just a little bit about our agency. NBT Bank bought Mang in 2008. We are one of the top 100 bank-owned insurance companies in the United States. We insure, I work with Bill Van Gorder, over 100 municipalities. We insure about 48 school districts and then over 100 fire districts as well, up and down I-88 here in Montgomery County, Herkimer County, Fulton County, etc. So let's talk about the town of Palatine. On page 17, let's go right to it because you want to know what am I paying and what am I paying for. So on page 17 of this proposal, you'll see that last year your premium was $19,360.19. This year it's $20,018.19. So it's up slightly, and most of that is because on May of last year you took off. Art had told us that you took off a 1989 John Deere loader. All right, so taking that off the insurance saved you $255, and then you added a 2015 John Deere loader, which added on $763. So again, a very quick synopsis is, it went up a very short amount. I think $580 is the total it went up. So again, you can kind of see line by line your property insurance, boiler, machinery, general liability, auto, inland marine. That's what the prices are for each if we could flip over to the front, I'll take you through this, kind of a high-level overview. If you have any specific questions, ask me, but I just kind of want, especially the new folks to know, I know Sarah and Betty, we've talked about it. We gather information, by the way, from Linda and Art. We go through the garage and make sure all the vehicles are there. Linda tells us about, the data, the information we need. So that's kind of how we gather the information. So on page 3, just talks about our agency service team, who our CEO is, again, myself, Mr. Van Gorder, our service team. On page 5, you can see what the buildings are and how they're insured. So we insure on a blanket limit, which means worst case scenario, this building, your storage building, and the garage all at once, there's just a massive disaster. You see that blanket limit for $946,000. So on, for example, the town garage, which is the largest asset you have at this time of $630,000, if a total disaster happens and it costs more than $630,000, you would have that $946,000 to repair that or rebuild that. Okay. And then the contents basically is the tables and chairs, anything that's not attached to the building. So commonly we'll get asked, well, what are we covered for? And I can confidently tell you that you're covered for just about everything except for nuclear weapons, if a war breaks out, or if tonight the board wants to make a motion to burn the building down. Okay, we're not going to cover those things. But otherwise you're going to be covered. All right? You can see on page 6, we also do an appraisal program. This is a value-added service. Every 5 years we'll come in and make sure that the buildings are valued to what they should be. On page 7 and 8, we talk about property extensions. These are just extra things that NYMER adds that most other insurance companies don't have. So, one of the things that you hate to think about, but a backup of sewers and drains, that's included. Other insurance companies, it wouldn't cover. So that's something. Extra expense, this $250,000 limit in the middle of the page. Just to give you an idea, if say something happened in this building, obviously Linda and the board would still need a place to work out of. This would cover renting another building, perhaps downtown or somewhere else, up to $250,000. Okay? So page 9, boiler and machinery limits. This is really the same thing except for, let's say lightning hits a transformer across the street and catches on fire here. That's when that boiler and machinery limit would come in. It's not, hey, what if my boiler is old and wears and tears? We don't cover wear and tear. That's not insurance. Okay? All right, so moving on to general liability. Again, when you think general liability, it's third party, so somebody slips, trips, falls. Art or one of his guys crashes into somebody, or it's our fault. It's the town's fault. This is really where that general liability is coming in. You have $1 million for each occurrence up to, and then for the whole year, that's that general aggregate limit of up to $2 million. And I'll talk about an umbrella that goes over that later on. On page 11, here's your schedule of vehicles you can see on the bottom, and how that's covered. And again, we go through this list, and from time to time we'll say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't on there, or we got to take this one off. When that happens, Art or Linda, just give me a call and we'll take that off, or we'll add one if we need to. Okay? All right, page 13. Again, this is all the equipment that we value add, and again, we don't count every bolt, every screw, obviously, but we want a list of things that are probably $1,000 or right around there and up. And again, this covers crime coverage as well. So this is if somebody breaks in and steals something, they know something's in there that's worth a few $1,000s, comes up missing, call us, and again, you'll pay your deductible, and we'll.
Does it count vandalism?
It does. It does. Yep. Good question. So on page 15, this is something that, again, as a public official myself, I can tell you in the city, I've been sued. You guys will be sued or threatened to be sued. And here's what happens for NYMER, for the public officials coverage. So, I can read it to you right in the middle of the page. It really talks about this protection is needed by municipal government entity, not including to cities, towns, townships, boroughs, all persons who were, now are, or shall be lawfully appointed, had the risk of, like I said, getting sued. Suits can be brought against you for discrimination of selecting, promoting, disciplining, Typically, that's the supervisor or the mayor. Failure to hire, failure to promote, those are things that we see. This is going to be covered there. You see down here on the bottom of the page, it also includes anything that might be land use. So again, I know you guys have been talking about a new town hall, things that land use may come into play. As long as you guys are going through the right process, if somebody sues you and says you're doing things wrong, NYMER has that insurance to settle that too, okay? One of the things I like about NYMER that I don't see from the other for-profit insurance carriers is they're not quick to just settle. So if you guys have a claim and they say, hey, listen, this would be easier if this goes away, they're not just going to pay that out. They're going to come here and talk to the board. It'll be an executive session meeting, and they'll say, hey, listen, what do you guys want to do? And they'll really get your buy-in. Okay, so I think that's important. All right, so last page, and we're back to the premium. So this is this umbrella limit or excess, it might be called. So we're going to give you another $1 million for each occurrence. So really, you have $2 million for any one thing. And then an extra $2 million. So for the end of the year, you really have $4 million all year to go over those underlying limits. Okay? We talked about crime. You have an employee theft for any employee of $60,000. Monies and securities for $10,000. We have the tax collector who has really the most access to the funds of $250,000 single limit. We talked about the premium on page 17. Just flip over to page 20 for me quick. And this really talks about all the risk management programs, again, the annual inspections, special inspections. So if you have something that you want us to come and take a look at, we'll have our risk specialists come out. Local trainings. Again, we've had one in Ilion recently in Herkimer County that really pulled a lot of our insureds together. We can do that again out here in Montgomery County. And then again, there's a lot of online stuff. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer it. But I think this is really just a high-level overview. By the way, you never went without insurance. I know there was a question with that, and Sarah and I talked at the last board, and I appreciate her allowing me to come back out and meet with the new board members tonight.
I don't see a commission percentage listed by line.
Yep. So you want that by line? We can
Well,
get to-
I mean, for example, here,
Yeah. So our agency from NYMER gets about a 10% commission.
okay,
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
yeah.
Do you need a decision, do you need somebody to sign this?
We don't need anything signed, Sarah. And we went and bound it so you would have coverage.
Great.
You told me to go ahead and do that, so yeah, I really don't. I mean, if you guys want to set a resolution, that's certainly up to you, but we don't need it. If you tell us to do something, we take your word for it. Go ahead.
There's a zoning change with property.
Yeah.
Does that affect the policy at all, like the equipment or coverage or anything?
Again, we want to know about it and how it would affect, but no, you're going to be covered. I mean, as long as you're doing things that are in your town's law, you're not going against that, we're going to cover that, Betty. So, yeah, so if you guys want to make a zoning change and do that, that's fine by us. Was that the question? Did I answer that right? Okay. What else? Any other questions I can answer? All right. Again, I left my card, my cell phone number is on there. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions. Thanks for your time.
Great,
Have a
thank
great
you
night.
very much.
Bye-bye. See you.
Okay, moving on to public comment. There are some guidelines listed in the agenda. Each person will have 5 minutes to speak. Make sure that every person has a chance to speak before you ask to speak again. Mary Lou.
I have a question. When we ask you something at the beginning of the meeting, can you at least respond to it at the end of that meeting or the following meeting? And also, you said you were gonna have the agenda up on the website and the minutes up on the website, but you didn't. And also, the old board members are still on the website.
Okay. So the public comment is a time for people to weigh in, and that's a helpful way to weigh in, and I appreciate it. The agenda is on the website, but the minutes are not, and I actually, no town board member, to my knowledge, has received the minutes of January yet.
I didn't see it on there.
It should be on there.
All right.
Now, the way that public comment is set up is for people to weigh in. If you have questions for anybody, I would encourage you to always reach out to us and ask, and we'll answer. But if the intent is to like publicly call out the council using questions, then it's up to you to do that, of course. And then answering any public comment is up to, as we just adopted a rules of procedure for town meetings, and responding to public comment is up to the town board members. It's not required. So, I'm happy to answer questions. But I do, in the past, the public comment has been used not so much by the public, but by members of the council to scream at members of the public, and I really don't want that to happen anymore.
Well, what about putting the videos up on the website? You haven't responded to that at all. That's all.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Anybody else? Paul?
Just a couple of quick questions and comments. Paul Daw, Stone Arabia, down at Palatine, taxpayer. On your resolutions, I'm a little confused here. It says each meeting shall, this is 3.6, each meeting shall commence with opening remarks the chairman may deem appropriate. At the discretion of the chairman, which I take as the town supervisor, a meeting may commence with the pledge to the flag. Does that mean the town supervisor has the right to say we don't pledge? At the discretion of the chairman, a meeting may commence with the Pledge of Allegiance. I think it's just worded wrong.
Are you making a recommendation?
I'm making a recommendation that we change it, that you don't have control of telling who to pledge of allegiance to. I respect your religion and your beliefs.
So your recommendation is that the
I recommend that this
will be
3.6 be
required to-
changed. That it does. Thank you. Also, I'd like to talk a little bit about the resolution authorizing, Resolution 3916, authorize advance monies for conferences. I was just reading over this, and I have a question and a comment. As I read, every time a council member goes to a conference, they can draw a $500 cash advance. If they bring back $500 worth of receipts, and they went over this $500 and have receipts, they will get reimbursed for them also. So really, this is an open-end spending. As long as they have the receipts, you people are voting on your own vouchers, and if you have the receipts, I've never heard of it done this way. I've always had to pay out of my pocket, bring the receipts back, and submit a voucher. All conferences were paid by voucher in advance, as well as hotels. Meals were limited to a certain amount. Anything over was on the individual. I feel the board needs to rewrite the resolutions so there's some financial guidelines. All right. Then I'd like to also comment, I see on 4216, attorney for the town, the budget was 11.5, and now you want to pass a resolution to raise it to 20,000. And I remember back in September when the board wanted to raise Mr. Subik's salary. I think it was 6,000 or 10,000. I don't really remember. You were adamant about this. Just for a point of for the public, Mr. Subik over the 4 years at $11,500 per year was $46,000 plus $6,500 for lawsuits, which he was paid. Plus there's an $8,800 balance that I guess you guys are working out to be negotiated. Prior, Mr. Ayers, he was a town attorney for 4 years. I only could get 50% or 60% of his billing for the town through foils, came to $89,000. Okay? I have copies of checks. The town was writing back in those days up to $16,000 a month, $12,000 a month, $5,000 a month. What I'm recommending is I'd like to see the board put a cap. I see you have a cap for Mr. Dunn here for $20,000, and anything over that, I'd like to see made possible a resolution by the board to make it public what it's going over the $20,000 for. So we have some kind of legal fee, okay? I'd also like to ask the board how they're going to rectify our court problem and safety for the judge. I'm sure you have all researched the fact that if you change any part of the existing courtroom, you will have to comply with New York State Court System Municipal Guidelines. 3 years ago, Judge Geiger had a survey done, okay? And it came to bring the building at that time, the court, up to standard was $50,000 to $75,000. When you do the court over, whatever your plans are, wherever you go, it all has to be done by bids, blueprints, and approved by the town planning board. Lastly, and this really concerns me, the dates are 11/23/15 and 11/30/15. What I did learn from Mr. McGlone and Mr. Spencer is the value of a foil. I filed 2 foils, totally disregarded to this day. They were filed with the clerk. The clerk informed the proper people.
Paul, what were your FOIL requests?
The FOIL requests were for all the checks for Mr. Ayers while he was at town of Palatine, fees and services, all disbursements up till 6 months after leaving office to the town of the Palatine attorney. The second one was all AUDs of the town of Palatine finances from 2008 to 2014.
So both of those are records that the town clerk holds and the responsibility of the
I don't
clerk to get.
hold, I don't have two AUDs, and I gave you
And
the
it's your
record.
responsibility to get them.
Paul, what's an AUD?
It's showing what the town pays out for budget lines, amounts of money. I'm still questioning the $133,500 that was in the 2010 budget and disappeared in the 2011
This is
budget.
basically information from before any of
Right.
Betty was here,
Right,
which
right.
we don't
Anything to
have.
do with this, it's
It's-
not you
it would
members
be Linda's
or
responsibility
the
to-
money, it's all prior, the last board
I'm just
and
asking
Sarah.
a technical question about
Yeah.
what the initials meant.
Right.
So I apologize for that. We should have better record keeping, and
Okay.
I hope that we can.
I just don't want to see more crap. You know what I mean? All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Skip. Go ahead.
I'm Deb Carey. Sandy and I had a chance to talk to Bob Subic to see how things went for the court on the 19th. He told us that the deal is in the works and that you guys were discussing it with the attorney, for which a contract hasn't even been signed yet. So how is he even representing you, the other board members? My question is, how is it all right for you to discuss things out as board members outside of the public's eye when the very same board members, with the exception of Betty, fought the past board members for doing the same thing, saying it was unethical and immoral and illegal?
What is
The-
it that you're talking about?
Private discussions amongst yourselves
Private discussion.
about Subic's
I
lawsuit.
believe that's what we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
We also went
But
to
you guys
executive
discussed
session.
it outside of here. At least that's what I was
The
told.
attorney settled, worked on it, and we need to discuss it in executive session tonight.
Okay. Well, the past board members did a site review, and they were chastised for discussing it outside of public meeting by some of the same board members that we have now. My question is, why was it all right for you guys to discuss I know it's legal.
You're
I
saying
absolutely
that
know it's
we
legal.
didn't do.
No, I absolutely know that it's legal that you guys have discussions amongst yourselves outside of board meetings, public board meetings. I know that that's legal. But I don't understand, what I'm questioning is why the past board members were chastised for doing it, but it's okay for you guys.
Debbie, it's
Because
not
they-
legal.
That's all.
They conducted a
It is
site plan
legal.
review behind closed doors.
Actually, ma'am, it's not. According to the law, if three of us gather in any position, in any room, it's considered a quorum.
But if you discuss it in an email, it's okay. Or if you discuss it on the phones
It's okay to do it on the phone too.
or on the telephone, it's okay.
Well, I'm not willing to do that.
But we did not have a discussion of more than three of us via email or telephone, so we hold very strict
Okay.
accordance to that
Well,
rule.
that's not what I was told, so.
We did have an executive session in there where we discussed some of these matters.
No, this was after, because this was after the January
You shouldn't
19th
believe
meeting.
everything you hear around
Yeah.
Well,
I can tell you there's two sides to a story.
All right, do you have anything else?
that's it.
Skip, go ahead.
I've got a couple of questions. We just heard a lot about insurance. Now, I don't know much about insurance, but I wondered if the town insurance can be affected in any way by the fact that there's more people in this building a lot of the time than it's posted for. Another thing, the last time we were given a long document, which essentially was settling the lawsuit. Did all of the participants in that lawsuit sign off on that? I've asked that question and nobody seems to know. Somebody's got to know. If everybody didn't sign off on it, whatever the town does doesn't amount to a heck of a lot.
My understanding, Skip, is that it's settled.
The other one is, I know that it's difficult to put down everybody that comes to these meetings. However, as a kind of a half-fannied historian, I'm trying to be nice about this. That's part of history. Those people that are on to there, and they're no longer listed. The people in attendance. Those people are witnesses to those meetings. I'm going to ask an attorney about that someplace, but there's a question in my mind.
It's against the law for, I'm sorry, Skip, I've researched
Well,
that. Asking for people to sign in at a public meeting is a violation of the Open Meetings Law of New York. It can be done voluntarily, and I understand your historian point of view, but it would be a violation of the Open Meetings Law.
To sign in, you say.
For
But they don't sign it.
For the board to ask us to register our being here.
But would you recommend then just a sign-in sheet?
I think it would be a great thing.
I-
And have that appended to the minutes, unless there's something against the law.
And 100 years from now, we want a historian to go through it and find it. I
No,
agree.
That is my point.
With a disclaimer that says you're not required
I think
to
it would be a
sign
very
in
good
for-
thing to have that sign-in sheet. I belong to a couple other organizations where we have it, and it's a.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why all of a sudden now that the new town council members are on, why there's only one public comment now. When these guys were sitting out in the crowd, they required 2 public comment meetings. And why is it now all of a sudden 1 public comment meeting now? I don't get it. I don't get what the difference is. I mean, we should be allowed to be able to comment at the end of the meetings now too, instead of just 1 public comment meeting. And the other thing I want to say is that
Is that your recommendation? So you're
I
saying
recommend
you
that we
would
have a
recommend
second
that we
public
should-
comment meeting, just like it was in the past. That's what I'm saying now.
Hi, for the board members that don't know me, I'm Janie Dygert, and I live in the town of Palatine. And the question that I have for the board, I understand that you received a notice of violation in order to comply with the State of New York Department of Labor. And there were 8 serious events and 1 non-serious violation. And there's a time frame to that. And the cost associated would be $1,650 if you don't comply with the dates in here. So 1, I didn't see it on the agenda. Are you going to talk about it tonight? And 2, what is going to be the game plan? So I'm anxious to hear to fix these violations, because that's pretty costly every day that we go over those dates. And I'd like to know where the money will come from. And I think it's important that taxpayers understand that.
I'll mention it in my remarks.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll strictly comply with the open meetings law, which is to say I'll make the general comments, not addressed to any individual, and I understand posing questions, or you're not required to answer them. So keeping with the themes of last year regarding consolidation, having read the resolutions, I've got 3 observations. Number 1, regarding the appointment of Attorney Dunn, similar to Mr. Dawes' comments, and in keeping with the themes of consolidation and shared services, I make the following observations. Mr. Dunn was paid $1,050 by memory at the request of Attorney Subek to represent the town in front of Judge Seiss during the Article 78 hearings last year. At that time, Mr. Dunn was also representing the contractors in the Article 78, which might seem to have been a conflict representing both the contractors and the town in that point. So with that as an observation, then, in speaking to shared services, I would ask that the town is addressing not just that $1,050 exception, but whether or not Mr. Dunn represents any other local towns or villages. Are we purchasing legal services intelligently in bulk, in the same way that we would with our municipal insurance? Things like certiorari work and other types of works are a highly specialized field. Having lost 2 cases last year, I can tell you that. And purchasing attorney services in bulk instead of a blanket contract with an attorney who may not have those skills would be important. The second thing, again, in the theme of consolidation and shared services, I understand a resolution to recognize representation for Teamsters for the town employees. Without getting in the middle of a CBA or CBU situation, 2 observations. If the town is going to be negotiating in the future with unionized employees, again, that is a specialized skill. Within Montgomery County, there is a actual director of labor relations that Matt Ossenford has appointed. Carl Gustafson holds that position now to represent the county's interest in collective bargaining situations. I am unaware that any of the town board members have that same skill or speciality. And then I would also make the observation that does that pose a constraint to any future municipal sharing agreements as you go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I counted wrong. There you said 3 points. I heard the Greg Dunn.
Greg Dunn as the hit, Greg Dunn as the buying of services, and then the CBU.
Got it. Okay.
I was slipping in the hit as the 3rd one.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Just one point on that, which I probably won't talk about it in my remarks, is I earlier this year, late last year actually, reached out to Montgomery County to explore a shared services arrangement on certiorari proceedings specifically. They said that they weren't ready to do that yet, but would, but the process would be a request for proposal, some kind of, and they would let us know when they're ready. So we structured this agreement to be flexible, so that if we need to, if we decide to pay the contracted attorney less for less work, and then work with Montgomery County on certiorari, we could do that. Any other comments?
Sandy McCullough from Palatine Bridge. First of all, about the Bob Civic situation, there is already a check cut out for $6,100. I don't know, somebody must have made a decision to cut the check. So that's what Deb was talking about. Secondly, I think it's shameful that you only offered 15 cents for the town workers, the guys for the road. I mean, don't you consider their work very valuable? I do, and I know the residents do here. You stand up for demonstration and protest to support Walmart workers, McDonald's workers.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Just talk to me, because I don't think all these guys
I am looking
stand
at
up
you.
for
Okay,
McDonald's
so this is
workers.
for you, Sarah.
But I do.
And also for the support of the nurses in Gloversville. You were standing there protesting.
I most certainly was.
And then in 2011.
And I wasn't protesting, by the way.
All right. In 2000, you were supporting them. In
That's right,
2011,
I was
an
supporting
interview
them.
by Al Jazeera, it says, "We're really excited that the labor is part of the protest," said Sarah
You've
Nicole.
been very busy, haven't you?
I research. Okay.
Good.
A spokeswoman for the Labor Relations Coalition, an Albany, New York-based organization that aims to do justice for the workers. What justice are you doing for your own workers? Or then, better yet, maybe it's better that you only said 13 cents, because lo and behold, we have Tommy Quackenbush, who's head of Teamsters Union, to meet and to sign contracts with these guys, and that would really give you support for the Teamsters Union in your run against George Amador. So in my opinion, the guys should definitely go to the union to protect themselves against you.
Yeah, of course.
Sandy, I would just like to point out that actually,
Don't yell at her, though.
I'm not. No, I just want to correct the record a little bit here. That the 13-cent increase was actually not approved by this board, but was approved by the previous board because it was part of the budget. So when the previous board adopted the budget, you adopted all the pay raises that was set in that budget, which was on paper even prior. Plus, in the previous budget negotiations, the highway superintendent was there and could have put in whatever amounts of money wanted to for those workers. So it's not this board. This board did not make that decision. We set the pay rate based upon last year's budget. Our hands were tied.
Wow.
You adopted the budget. Okay, as far as some of the other...
Can I please answer that?
I'm not done, thank you. Hold on just a minute.
But that's not true, because it was said in the meeting that there was room for raises. We asked about that.
Well,
And we did not adopt 13.
not getting into the fine print of the budget, it was adopted, the budget as adopted had a 0.74% increase for all the workers across the board. I was here for that meeting, I heard it. It was voted on and adopted by the previous town board, not for this board, to adopt the budget as requested. All we did was implement those salary caps based upon the budget that was enacted. If I'm wrong, please someone correct me, but that's exactly what I saw here, and it has nothing to do, we did not go back and change any bit of the budget at this moment.
There was money put aside for raises.
According to the budget, and I saw the budget, I heard the adoption of the budget, it was a 0.74% increase across the board. If
That's not
it
true.
was, I can roll back, I can roll this back.
What you're saying is not right.
It is right. Well, then I'll tell you what. I'll go back to the minutes. We have it. I'm
Yes, why
sure
don't you
it
do
will
that
be
where we
on
have
some
on
particular
tape?
website if it's different than
But we
0.74%.
have on tape where Michelle brought up the fact of raises. Sarah Nicole stated that there was money in the budget to...
Never. I'm
put
telling you what I
raises
heard,
into
and
effect.
we adopted as requested by the
truth is,
previous
stop
budget.
trying to blame the previous board for your...
Ma'am, if you can find anywhere else that it says there, please bring it to me. I'll be more than happy to make a public
We'll go
statement
through
on
the
it,
tape
okay?
then, I guess. That's what
Thank
we'll
you
have
so
to
much.
do.
Anything else, Sandy? Okay. Anybody else? Michelle?
Michelle Whiteman, Town of Palatine resident. This is just in regards to the settlement for the lawsuit and the agreement in that lawsuit to rescind local laws 4, 5, and 6. And I want you to explain to me how discarding laws 4, 5, and 6 of 2015 would truly benefit the town. Okay, so let's just talk about 4 and 5 because we all know number 6 was a very big bone of contention. To correct an error made in 1998 when establishing the town's comprehensive plan, Laws 4 and 5 of 2015 are to correct the issue of the town property where the highway garage, machinery shed, etc. are located. This property was left in an agriculturally zoned area and should have been placed in a municipal use category. So the previous town board was correcting an error made years ago by enacting Laws 4 and 5 of 2015. Now you want to rescind those laws, which will again place a highway garage, etc., in an illegally zoned area. It seems foolish to undo all that.
Michelle, just so you know, it's already done.
Okay, well, it seems foolish to have done that just to satisfy certain individuals and their agenda. Are you going to now pick up the garage and move it, or close the doors? What about the salt shed that some of the board members are so eager to build? You can't place a salt shed on property that's zoned wrong, just like the individuals opposing the town hall project said we couldn't place a town hall there. It's time to move on and do things legally and ethically. Secondly, Madam Supervisor, on 12/30/15, the previous board did in fact approve the abstract of audited vouchers with an amendment adding payment of 2 vouchers, one for Mr. Subic, one for Mr. MacGyver of MacGyver Architecture and Engineering. To say we did not is totally inaccurate. The resolution was sponsored by myself, seconded by Councilwoman McCullough, with a roll call of aye from myself, Sanders and McCullough, and an A from you. This, in fact, is a quorum and an approval. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just one quick one. I forgot to put in. The other night was district attorney night here. There were 81 people here. 81. Wow. They were standing outside in the rain all over.
Paul, make sure you're addressing us. Please.
Oh, sorry. 81 people. What are we going to do about it? You just had your insurance guy. If one of those people had fallen out there, fallen here, a prisoner, something happens, you better have a lot of good insurance.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, then we need the motion to close public comment.
I'll make the motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to reports. Art.
All right, well, from looking outside, you really can't tell it, but not much snow being on the ground, but we were plowing, sanding snow, and sanding freezing rain. Warmer weather, we've been getting a lot of freezing rain this year compared to snow. In between, with the nice weather, when we can, we've been cutting brush and doing maintenance on trucks. Next thing, in January, the organizational meeting, Neil asked me for a list of the employees with each of you guys, there's one for each of you guys, with how long they've worked for the town and the rates of current. This is the rates of pay as of February. I did February's date because Mark gets a 25-cent increase in his pay for longevity because he's been here 10 years next week.
Thank you, Artie.
So that's just a quick rundown of how long the guys have been here, their longevity payment, what their current rate of pay is. Chris and Earl at the bottom, they're my part-timers that do the village, follow villages for me. Those guys are both retired. Earl retired from the village, the town of Palatine. Chris retired from the village of Canajeri. They're very good at what they do. They're very tough to replace because I have tried finding guys to take their place if one of them guys can't make it. Anybody that's good is working. And nobody wants to only work when it's snowing and shitty out. You know what I'm saying? So those two guys are a valuable asset to the town for taking care of the villages for me.
Who say the name?
Earl and Chris, the two,
Oh, right, okay.
the two part-timers.
Are they a will call or do you have scheduled?
No, they come when I call them. 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, Christmas Day, these guys come.
And you said Mark is going up
Mark's going up 25 cents. No, this number is right as of next week.
as of next week.
As of right now, Mark's only making 25 cents longevity. Next week, 1st February, he goes up to 50 cents because he's been here 10 years.
How come the part-time guys get paid more than the half-time?
Because Kenny Burkhart, any new hire, according to the contract, starts out at $1 an hour less for the first year. At 6 months, he gets a 50-cent raise. He's just been here 6 months, so he's up to 50 cents less than the base rate. So come July, Kenny will be at 1806. Kenny Burkhart will be at 1806 at the base rate. So Neil asked for that, so I threw that together quick for you.
Thank you, Art.
Thanks very much.
Yep. The next thing I got is the agreement to spend highway money. This is an agreement between myself and you guys as the town board. It says where we're gonna spend a good portion of my budget. It's gotta be filed every year. This year, I'm looking at doing a bunch of chip sealing. We've only ever done it once, to my recognition, before in the town of Palatine. It's similar to sealing your driveway, except you put stones on top and you're done so the cars can drive on it. It's a preservation method. It's not meant to make a road smooth. It's purely a preservation method. Gives you new wear surface, and it seals the blacktop so water can't penetrate the road. You get cracks in the road, water, frost heave, breaks roads up. If you keep the road from getting water in it, you can make the roads last longer. Last several years, we've done a bunch of paving of dirt roads, which uses a coarse asphalt. So we want to seal those roads up. So that's what I'm looking at doing. I'm not really looking at doing much hot blacktopping this year. Chip sealing is considerably less than paving. My estimate is it costs about, at last year's number, it costs about $14,000 a mile to chip seal.
Does
My
it last
estimate.
as long?
It don't last as long as blacktop, but it seals the blacktop. If you put a blacktop driveway in and don't seal it, it's going to break up eventually and go to heck. Life expectancy is 5 to 6 years. But our roads in the town of Palatine are in nice shape. I want to keep them in nice shape. So rather than not chip seal them and let the water get down into blacktop, if we seal them up, they'll last a lot longer.
So is this different than like a base and a top?
Oh yeah, this is
Okay.
totally different.
Okay, so we have coarse asphalt on some of these roads, and then this is a sealant. and
They spray a asphalt emulsion on the road.
Okay.
They come right behind it and they spread one little thin layer of rocks. The rocks are mainly just so the cars can drive on it right away. But the rocks also bind in that asphalt and give you a new wear surface.
I got you.
Have
So
you see this in other areas?
There's a lot of towns that do it on a lot of their roads. We haven't done it. We did it once on the road that.
We do it every year.
Yeah, some towns do it every year.
If you want me to weigh in on it, we do it roughly about 30 miles of road a year on the county highway. And it's just what Artie said, it's designed to keep the good roads good.
Okay. So there's $125,000 in the blacktop line for this year. I'm estimating to do the roads I've got listed is only going to be $88,000.
now, do we have to stripe afterwards? Or?
No, we don't stripe.
Okay,
we don't
so
have
we
any-
have nothing we have to stripe
No, we don't have
afterwards.
anything with
Okay,
stripes.
good.
Does that include the one we approved in November? We did the road, what was it?
No, that was just to add Saltzman Road, so we
Oh,
didn't
no,
lose the
that was
length.
Saltzman Road. That was just to keep it on the road inventory so we get all the chips money we've
Yeah.
been getting.
Oh, no, but then we also already, didn't we approve which one is gonna be paved?
No,
Oh,
I,
no.
no.
We can
I always
see
talk
some
about
of
it in January.
You asked him which ones, and he
You may have asked me, and I
Okay.
said I want to do some chip
And
sealing.
is that,
So
so that's what this
I'll run
is?
down them quickly. Here.
Okay.
What I'm looking to do is Con Road from Hickory Hill to Stone Arabia, Con Road from Stone Arabia to Gray Road, Dygert Road from the town line all the way up to Gerhart Road, and Gerhart Road from Groff Road and as far as Dygert Road, which is the blacktop section, Fredericks Road, and Crutz Road, which is the road we paved last year. That's a total of 6.7 miles. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. The roads aren't very long. So all them roads together is 6.7 miles.
And
Approximately.
you paved Con the year before last, right?
Yes.
That section. So basically, we're doing maintenance over the new pavement. Is what you do.
Right. If you don't seal them, they're not going to last as long as if you could go back and put hot blacktop on them, an inch or inch and a half of blacktop. That's going to be very costly.
Very costly.
Whereas sealing them will do the same thing. I mean, you're not going to build the road up an inch and a half, but you're going to seal the pores and put a new wear surface on there. A couple of our roads had what was done was called super pave a few years back, and that stuff, those roads are falling apart, and that's two of them roads that are going to get chip on a chip seal.
I missed one, Con, Hickory to Stone Arabia, and then.
Con Hickory Hill Road to Stone Arabia, Con Road Stone Arabia to Gray Road,
Right,
Dygert Road,
okay.
Gerhart Road, the blacktop portion of Gerhart Road, Fredericks Road, the whole road, Hickory Hill to Stone Arabia, and Crutz Road, the whole road. But like I say, that's That's 6.7 miles, I think I estimated that.
And then what's the road that's gonna get the new paving?
I don't, unless something, this agreement is today's agreement. If we get a road that, we got a funky winter, if we get a road that happens to go all to crap and we gotta repave a road, I can come back to you guys and say, we need to change this. This could be amended at any time throughout the course of the year. This isn't etched in stone that we have to do this. This is just me telling you guys what I would like to do. Okay? So if somewhere along the ways, if the price of asphalt goes crazy, we can eliminate half these roads if we have to. Or if the price drops dramatically, we want to do a couple more, we can add a couple more. It's simply just an amendment to this. A couple years ago, we had to amend it, because a road went bad that we didn't think was going to go bad, but Mother Nature took care of it for us. So other than that, this just says there's $55,000 in the road repair fund, which buys culvert pipes and gravel and small amounts of blacktop and everything else. And it says there's $70,000 in the equipment purchase fund, and there's approximately $111,000 in the snow removal fund. So it's got to be signed every year. It's got to be signed in duplicate. I keep one copy, the clerk keeps one copy, and one goes to the county.
And one has to be made public, right? The clerk keeps the public copy.
She keeps a copy just for our records.
Now, do we need to do anything with the culverts you replaced on Pavlis or anything with those blacktop that you did? That's all good? We don't have to do anything? Okay.
See.
This is it's all in the budget already.
Yes, that money's all in the budget. That's just telling you guys where I expect to spend a part of that $125,000. That's the main part, is in the spending of the $125,000, which, like I say, I'm estimating somewhere around $80,000 to $90,000 or less. Because the price of asphalt's down right now compared to last year, because the price of gas is down.
Because price of oil, of course.
So that was that.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment, by the way.
Oh, you're more than
To
welcome.
fill me in a little bit more, I didn't understand.
Well, if on a second of that, if Art can get me the list, we could probably, like John said, the shared services program, I can send up our stone chipper and our trucks to help him chip seal that. Because the town don't have a stone spreader.
Okay.
We do.
Thank you.
So we can all get on the same page, and because I'm all for the shared services thing.
Right.
But no new paving?
As of right now for this year, no. Nothing new this year. I'm looking to save these roads, then next year go back into paving some more. Soot's Road is probably the worst road we have in the town right now. There's just, the one end of it is real bad. I mean, we've worked with the town of Johnstown before. They've got a little paver. Town of Glenn's got one. That job wouldn't be very expensive to do that paving ourselves, or maybe we'll wait till next year, see how it goes, see what happens.
Are there any roads that you get more complaints than others?
I don't get any complaints on roads.
I get complaints on roads, but they're never.
They're not the town roads, they're the county roads.
Some of them are the town roads, but they're not, I'm not getting like lots of complaints from one road. You know what I mean? Like I might get them from over here and over here.
Nobody calls
and
me.
It's like, okay.
I know which ones are rough when I gotta plow them, and I know which ones are rough when I drive my pickup truck across them.
Right.
There's a couple bumps on Valentine Church. I don't like plowing over them, but.
Right, we talked about the one, off Acre, it's between Acre and Kreider.
Oh, Hinkle.
Hinkle
Hinkle Road, yeah.
Yeah, I got, it's one person that complains. And then I get.
If you could keep the cars from stop spinning up the gravel, we'd be all set over there. They go down there and they do donuts in the intersection, and that's what she complains about. I can't stop that.
I'll go stand there with my sign, no
Yeah,
donuts.
yeah, well, that's where most of that complaint comes from.
And then I got Con Road down below Gray where the turnoff is.
Yeah.
Where the L is, the dust comes up.
We paved Con Road a couple years ago, and a majority of the residents didn't want us to pave down over that hill, so that's why we didn't.
Yeah, I was surprised when last year when Con got paved, I actually got a complaint about it that they didn't want it paved.
Well, the majority of the residents didn't want to pave, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Art, I got a question.
Sure.
On number 3, you're talking about equipment purchase and repairs, sum of $70,000.
That's just purchase, that should be repairs.
Okay.
If it just says repairs, I put the wrong number in.
Purchase and repairs, that's, yeah, that's what it is. But anyways, I'm questioning that. In other words, we're gonna look at it buying a new one-ton dump
No,
truck?
I'm gonna talk to you about that in a minute.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm good to have you. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna
sorry.
get to that in a minute. I just threw that down there today. That's just something I threw on there today to bring to you guys. So you're not agreeing to none of that stuff. That says my recommendation. That's what that
Okay.
says. Okay.
Very good, thank you.
It would be a separate resolution to actually.
I'll purchase something. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, this is mainly giving me the authorization to buy culvert pipe and gravel and blacktop as needed and whatever else I need to maintain the roads, guardrails, whatever, and then let you guys know what I have in mind for paving. The rest of it is it's actual numbers. You know, we've got $40,000 in the budget to repair machinery. That's not listed on there anyway. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you about the truck there in a minute.
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay, next thing I got is I'd like to ask permission of the board to attend highway school and the highway conference again this year. I have gone every year since I've been highway superintendent, and I'd like to ask for permission. The money is in the budget for me to go.
You should go.
Yeah, you gotta make,
I make a resolution that I already should go to the highway conference in school.
When is it?
highway school is in June and the conference is in September.
Good then. Good, there wouldn't be snow on the ground. I just, I'm curious about that, actually.
It's a mini vacation.
Yeah.
Did we have it in the, did you put it in the line items this year? Or?
It's I've had the same.
So it's in there.
It's in
I
there.
just got to ask.
Yeah, it's in there.
It is in there. And also a clarification on the authorization for any schools that was in that resolution, in the organizational meeting resolution. Every resolution in the organizational meeting set of resolutions is, the budget numbers take precedence. So, the town council members know what their council line is, and there's only, like $1,200 total. So, or anybody goes up with
Collectively,
the
you got
bookkeeper, collectively, check with the bookkeeper to make sure there's something in there. Because anything over that budget isn't getting paid out.
Okay.
Resolution.
Oh, you gotta.
So
Somebody
you
second
can't
it?
make a resolution as a piece of paper. You could
Make a motion, make a motion.
and we'll do all of the motions at the end, but just add a margin
Yeah.
to the highway.
All right. Next thing I got is just a couple stupid little comments, and then I want to talk to you about the vehicle replacement. Just so you guys know, in the paper, there was some shots given against the highway department. It's no secret my budget's the biggest part of the town budget. But there was a lot of mistruths in there. Last week or a couple weeks ago, I told you about the number of plow trucks. We are the only town that runs 6 big plow trucks. I am one of the few highway superintendents that runs a plow truck. In the paper, it said that the town, how long before I need a new garage for the myriad of equipment I'm collecting. Well, almost everything the town owns is stored inside, with the exception of a few V-plows that sit outside and I hope we never need to use. Since I've been in the highway garage, I've been there 13 years. We have added 2 one-ton dump trucks because the town board asked former superintendent Charlie Vosberg if he'd be willing to take on plowing the villages, because the town never used to plow the villages. The town hired the villages plowed. The town would go down with 2 sand trucks they had and sand them afterwards. That guy got old, retired from doing the job. It was put out to private bid for 1 year.
Yeah.
And Neil,
I know all about that.
Neil could testify to it. There was endless complaints. So the board asked Charlie if he'd be willing to take on the task. So Charlie said he tried on a trial basis. So we bought a used pickup truck with a plow on it. We bought a used sander, and we tried plowing the villages, and it worked out well. Okay, we weren't getting any complaints. The only problem was 1 truck's not enough to do 2 villages. So when it came time to replace that vehicle, I made the decision to keep the used one and buy the new one. We didn't sell them. We added a second 1-ton pickup truck. So now we got 2 trucks plowing 2 villages. Now when the big trucks go out to plow the country, the 2 village trucks come down to the village, everybody's done at the same time. Otherwise, one truck, the guy's down here for 4 hours. So everybody else has gone home, he's out by himself. And I'm not gonna leave the man out by himself. I can't do it. So now we're using 2 trucks to plow the 2 villages. When it came time to replace the old truck, we did replace it with another newer 1-ton diesel. So now we have a 2007 diesel pickup and we have a 2009 diesel pickup truck. Original train of thought was keep them trucks till the warranty runs out, 5 years. Trade them while they still have good value, get another new truck. Because obviously we're going to keep plowing the villages, unless you guys want to put it out to hire again, which I'm okay with that if you want to. But those 2 trucks have been added. The other thing that has been added, we added the roll-off trailer to haul recyclables. We never used to haul recyclables. Now we're making at least 1 trip a week with recyclables. We use those 1-tons to pull that trailer. So that's been added.
When was that? That was a while back.
That's when Brian was supervisor.
Yeah.
So they were added probably 5 years ago. Three or four years ago. I don't know. But that trailer was added. We have, while Charlie was the boss, before I took over, we did buy some flail mowers for the tractor. Instead of using a sickle bar inside of our little tractors, that little sickle bar alone is almost $20,000 for an attachment to go on the tractor. A brand new flail mower was less than $5,000. So we went with the flails. So now the tractors can mow 6 foot behind the tractor and they can mow 5 foot beside the tractor. So in one pass, in spots, they can mow 11 feet wide, where they used to only mow 5 feet wide. So they're a little more efficient. A lot of times we don't use a sickle bar because they are expensive to fix. So a couple flail mowers have been added. Other than that, late last fall, I bought a broom used for the front of our new loader. Paid $425 for it. New, they're almost $20,000.
Wow.
Okay, I found a deal on a used one. It's too big. We're going to modify it. I'm going to do the work in-house. We're going to make it a little narrower so it works for our application. But I only paid $425 for it. It's worth more than that for scrap. But other than that, that's the only equipment that's been added to the town in the 13 years I've been here, going on my 14th. I've looked back through the records. The town has always had 6 big trucks. They weren't always plow trucks, but they had 6 big trucks. When I started, 2 of them were just sand trucks. They were gas, and they were little. When we used to haul sand, we used to run 6 trucks to haul sand. We can haul as much sand now with 3 trucks as what we used to haul with 6. Trucks got bigger, we're more efficient. Trying to get more done, same amount of time, same amount of fuel. So that's where the 2 1-ton pickup trucks came from. Also in the paper it said I get a new truck every 2 years. That's about as far from the truth as you can get. Our newest truck is a 2014. The next one is a 2007. That's 7 years difference. 7 model years. They weren't 7 years apart when we got them, but they're 7 model years apart. When I bought the 2007, it was a leftover because I didn't want a truck with a new style emissions. So I bought a used truck sitting on the lot. That truck actually came in 2008. So still, there's 6 years between those 2 trucks. Original game plan was, because we're running 6 trucks, replace one every 3 years. Makes the oldest truck 18 years old. State recommends 15. You asked me about that the other day, Chris. 15. State recommendation on a plow truck is 15 years.
What's our oldest one right now?
It's 19 right now. No, it's 18 this year. 18. I wanted to replace it this year. Unfortunately, it's going to be our most expensive truck. It's the all-wheel drive. I only want one all-wheel drive. That's the one. That's going to be the most expensive truck to replace. And it's ironic that the other day during the freezing rain, he was the only truck that had to put chains on, because it's old, cool truck that's got a rear spinner. Our new ones all got front spinners. The rest of us are all driving on the sand we're putting down. He almost slid off the road. He went and put chains on. So that was my game plan before you guys got here. That was my game plan. Was this year was to replace that last plow truck.
That's an important distinction that I think people don't understand. First of all, I mean, that rumor that you get a new truck every 2 years probably is rooted in this like every 3 years thing. But when people understand that if you replace a truck every 3 years, that makes your oldest one 18 years old.
Exactly.
It's not like you're replacing a 3-year-old truck.
Exactly. And the thing is, we got good guys that take care of the trucks. Even 18 years old, our 18-year-old truck is a nice truck. It's still worth good money to somebody. It's just, you know what I'm saying, it's time for us to replace it.
But the state's recommendation for best value is 15 years?
The state recommends 15 years, yeah.
Like, because at 15 you get the most for your
You know,
sale versus...
Our 2003 truck and our 2005 truck, the boxes are rusted right away onto them. You can't stop it. You know, we've been welding on them, pieces and plates. You know, I don't want us to put a new box on an old truck. It just don't make sense to me. It's like putting new paint on a...
So, Art, you know what would be helpful? Could you, just so everyone is aware, because we'd like the public to know, could you give a list of the years that we have and the mileage of what we have on our trucks? So
mileage is, you can't go by mileage on our trucks. Because it's like changing the oil. You change oil in your car at 5,000 miles, let's say. My plow truck goes out and averages 15 miles an hour. Well, an over-the-road truck changes their oil at 10,000 miles. That 1997 truck's only got like 50,000 miles on it. But it's not useful in the summer. It was set up in 1997 to replace a Walters. It's set up with four-wheel drive and a little short box. You know, it's not meant to go out and fight snow every day.
So, and Artie puts together a really helpful inventory of basically everything that's in that barn. Like,
well, that would,
small,
I think maybe the
small
public
equipment.
would like to know that, and then they can make,
Linda
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
then it stops the comment of what's going on. And
I was asked for a equipment replacement schedule. I gave a 5-year replacement schedule. I might better have thrown it in the garbage because nothing got bought. We should be replacing something every year. For the amount of inventory we have, the way the municipality can buy equipment and turn it over, it doesn't pay for us to keep old stuff. I'm going to give you a quick example. Town of Mohawk, their pickup truck that the superintendent drives around, they bought it brand new 3 years ago. He used it for 3 years. When he traded it in to buy the new one, they gave him $3,600 less on trade-in than they paid for it after 3 years with bald tires. He actually got the use out of that truck for $1,200 a year. Do you see what I'm saying? Because he bought it, they traded in X number of dollars. That's $100 a month. If you could buy a brand new car and drive it every month for $100 a month, would you do it? I would.
I know, used pickups are terrible.
yeah, but we're not going to get on our 18-year-old truck. We're not.
No, but that's never going to happen on a big truck. I was just using that as an example on the pickup truck. Same thing with the bucket loaders. The town of Stark has the same exact loader we have. They just got their 4th new one for what they paid for one 6 years ago. Zero cost investment after 6 years. And they got a brand new loader, 6 model years newer, with 0 hours. $0. It can be done on certain stuff. You can't do it on a plow truck. Pickup trucks, you're going to lose a little bit on it, but the loaders, that should be done.
Does this stuff go back to a state pool or?
Nope, it gets sold in private
sale?
sector, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I just see one on Craigslist the other day. There's a town advertising their loader. They got the same thing we got. They got it advertised on Craigslist. They're opening bids this month for more money as a minimum than we paid for ours. They're going to make money on their loader after using it for a year. It's got twice as many hours on theirs. Too.
Will you
Well, okay.
post that that replacement plan again?
Yeah, I can give you.
Everybody, because they haven't had it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be totally different now because we've added a few, you know, the pickup trucks are on that now. And
Yeah, and I always thought, like, you know, every town across America is doing this. It's not like we're the only ones. There are best
Exactly.
practices
We're actually
here.
behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
A little bit. We're behind.
So, like, if we, so that replacement plan is like based on that recommendations and best practices
Right.
from
So-
the county.
Now, Neil, to what you said, My pickup truck, the crew cab truck I drive, is 2008. Originally, that was supposed to stay 2 years and get traded off for another one every 2 years. It's been here for 8 years. It's starting to rust. If we don't get rid of it now, the value is just going to start dropping like a brick, because as soon as you see rust, nobody wants anything. It's rusting through the front of the hood. So if you want to keep it and start sending it to the body shop and have body work done, okay. But I think we ought to replace the 1-ton pickup truck and my pickup truck this year. There's $70,000, $70,000 in the budget to buy new equipment, but that doesn't take into effect what we can get for the old stuff we sell. You see what I'm saying? I know a number off the top of my head because I talked to a dealer the other day on the 1-ton pickup. A new 1-ton with a plow on it, with a brand new plow on it, is about $53,000.
Stainless steel box and...
No. If you want stainless, you're going to pay for extra for that. But if you're only going to keep it 5 years, the box will last 5 years. Our trucks have both, well, the 09 is getting sandblasted and painted this summer because the box is rusting. So there's not enough money in the budget to replace a big truck. We should replace something. I mean, if we're not going to replace a big truck, I recommend we get rid of a couple of small things this year. I can come back with numbers for you, rough numbers for next month. And then if you want to go out to bid, we'll go out to bid or whatever. All this stuff can be bought off piggybacks, so the numbers I bring you could be steadfast.
What is that? What's piggyback?
Please.
We could buy the same thing any other municipality bigger than us went to bid for.
Okay.
The way we bought our last plow truck was off piggyback. So County A buys a 1-ton pickup truck for X number of dollars. We could buy that same truck for the same money without going to bid. You don't have to go to bid if you use a piggyback with a New York State procurement system.
As long as it's a like or the exact. It doesn't even have to be exact. It has to
They don't
be
have to be
very
exact. You
close,
can
right?
change the options. It's the base model, and then you can change the options.
I'm more concerned about the 18-year-old plow truck, because if we don't do it this year, we gotta do it next year. Or we got, it's the time will come.
Right, and it's an expensive purchase.
And how much that we're talking about, like 600.
About 230,000.
Yeah.
And that's
And
it.
what can you get? You can get not much for the
I'm-
18-year-old one.
Town of Mohawk sold one similar to ours, nowhere near as nice a condition, and they got 25,000 for theirs. So I'm saying ours is probably worth 30 to 35, my guess.
So if you get that replacement plan for us, we can make like a 3-year plan,
Well, that's
3 to 5 year
that's
plan.
what many years ago. That's what the plan was.
Yeah.
Same number in the budget every year, so the budget don't keep going like this. And you use a little bit, and roll the rest over the next year, and then you got enough money to purchase a big one. You don't have to
And then
borrow
we budget
stuff.
for it, and it's not like a big decision that we gotta make.
Right.
It's just done. Okay.
All right, and the last thing I got is on the guys' raises. I am going to come back at you on this one, Chris, because you are wrong on this one. And I'm going to tell you some other stuff that you guys don't know. When I put my budget together for this year, I asked for $10,000 extra in payroll, simply because when it came time to renew health insurance, we were offered a plan that was over $12,000 higher in premiums than the one we went with. Us 6 town highway guys and the few retirees that are on that saved the town over $12,000 on insurance premiums. So I asked that $12,000 be put into payroll. Give the guys back a little more. $5,000 was put in payroll. The .74 raise you gave the guys equates to about $1,300 a year with overtime. There's a lot of money in the budget that them guys could have got a bigger raise.
Yeah, but Art, we didn't adopt the 2015 budget for 2016.
Right, you didn't. The previous board did.
Right.
But when January rolled around, when it came time, just going by past practice, their raise was always determined at the January organizational meeting. For the 13 years I've been at the town, it was always done in January at the meeting. And when $5,000 was put in the budget. The budget was passed with $5,000 worth of payroll. A little calculation on a calculator figures out 13 cents equates to $270 a year. And the amount of overtime my guys save by running 6 plow trucks, that's why they went to the union.
Well, it's a moot point now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, the money was put in the budget. The last board did not determine the raise by putting if they determined to raise $5,000 is about 3% raise. You see what I'm saying? So the money was there, the raise wasn't given. My guys,
But the overtime is calculated based on that too.
the
So
overtime,
it would be-
it equates. Our guys
Last
had
year we went over 16 grand in salaries.
last year we had 118 hours of overtime. The first year I worked for the town of Palatine as an hourly employee, I had 238 hours of overtime. And the second year I was at the town of Palatine, I started driving my own plow truck. And every year since then, when we got a new plow truck, we add the plow truck, and overtime has gone down. I went through all my records. I know how many hours overtime. One year we only worked 76 hours for the whole winter. Overtime was always, payroll was always figured on 250 hours of overtime before me. I don't figure on 250 hours overtime, because I don't want 250 hours overtime. The town guys saved this town a lot of money over the other towns. Period.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you,
No, I just wanted to tell Chris that I did the numbers, I had them, but I didn't bother bringing them because 5,000. I asked for 10,000 more in payroll. 5,000 more was put in payroll for this year. So when you look at a budget for 2016 and you look at the adopted 15, it's $5,000 higher. That's all I got.
yeah, but I also just want to say, there are a few things this town does well, and I think I was saying this to Cliff earlier today. The day-to-day functions of the people who serve the town, whether it's the code inspector or the dog control officer or the guy plowing our roads, as much crazy business has happened at the political level and at the town board leadership level, all that stuff has been getting done, and I really appreciate what you all do.
Well, the thing is, we just don't plow roads, but that's what everybody sees us
No,
doing.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
That's a major part of our job, but it's not the only thing we do. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell you another situation, which I'm going to bring up later in the year, as far as the way we make our sand, buy our sand. So that's something later on in the season. I'm still trying to talk to the guy that owns the sand pit, so when I get some more information, I'll bring it to you guys. Another potential big money saver for the town. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you guys.
Somebody found it. They thought it was my brother-in-law's, but he didn't lose the dog.
Oh.
It might have been Sunday, they thought. I don't know if he has much power, but I'll find out.
Thank you, Carol. Leanne?
Hi. There's not a lot going on in the assessment department. Exemption forms have gone out. Next week I'm going through all of them to start calling people who haven't turned in their ag and hand star. You did. Other than that, I have been in contact with Greg Dunn and the appraiser that the board hired twice last year. We never got any of the paperwork that was necessary for him to do the appraisal for the lawsuit that we were supposed to report for on February 6th. A little disturbed about that. Been trying to get this done now for many, many months. So the Village of Canajoharie lawsuit is tentatively rescheduled to April. It will all be done by then. I believe Greg Dunn got all the paperwork that Mr. Schubick had.
Yeah.
And then there's the other litigation that I need to speak to the board about.
Okay, great. Thank you. The main thing is the people who don't get their exemptions in on time, and then it becomes so are you calling every single person?
That's why I'm starting next Monday.
Okay.
I've got everything together. All they have to do is get them advertised and then go through cross off.
Yeah, and then they get a mailing too, or just calls? They get a mailing and
They
calls?
usually get a mailing, and then a call. This year I'm gonna try to just call everybody now. If I call now instead of the end of February, it gets them, gives them a little more time.
Okay.
Then they'll still get called again
Okay.
the last week of February.
All right.
I
So they
try.
get one
There's
mailing.
like between the 3 towns, there's over 1,000 exemptions I send out and
Wow.
call.
Yeah. So they get one call and they get 2 calls and a mailing.
2 mailings and 2 calls. It'll
2?
be this year, yeah.
That's all you can do.
Right. Other than knocking on doors and forging everybody's names. Yeah, there you go. We'll just hang out, and walk around town.
They love us.
I mean, there's no other way I can do it. Again, if there's anybody who doesn't drive, needs me to pick it up, they just have to call and let me know. I am trying to work out something with the Amish, which I usually do every year, but usually I do it earlier in the fall. They wanted to push it to January. I've been trying to get a hold of Eli Kurtz. Chris has helped me because he spends some time with them. I believe he's been having some health issues also, so we're still trying to push that through at least in February.
Okay.
They can't do, I don't know, Thursdays is wedding days and something. I think we figured it out to be Wednesdays and Fridays.
Wednesdays and Fridays.
It's whatever one they pick, I'll go for. We usually try to do 2 or 3 farms in the area.
Great.
That's it. Unless somebody's got questions.
Questions? Thank you. Linda.
No.
Oh, I still have Bob Stubic's.
Yes, Cliff.
Oh, Cliff.
Linda, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Cliff.
First.
Like Leanne, well, it's been cold, so it's been slow. Every year it's there, December, January, and February. One permit went out and 1 CC, which you'll see on next month's report. It'll be the top one in front of the rest, of course, of the date. February 18th, I'll be going over to Schoharie County, their annex building, 4-hour course at no cost. And then February 22nd and 23rd, the state is making the code office do a 2016 code update. We did one back in 2014. No test, no fee. This year there's a fee. We're gonna have town of Root pay for this because, of course, this year when the conference comes around, town Palatine pays this year because Root paid for last year. If you're a member, not you board members, when this first started, town of Root and town of Palatine were sharing the cost of my NISBA conference that I go to every year. And then Root decided to pay for 1 year, and then Palatine picked up, and then Root paid for last year, so this year Palatine. But that'll be in October, so I'll ask you in September. The administration, the enforcement report for the state is done. That one's done again 30 days in advance. I'll get that out before March 1st. I was working on that today. I think in November when Linda and I went through to match our numbers on permits, we had 28 that were still open
You
last
closed a
year.
couple times.
Yeah, so still closing them, but the outside stuff, because winter, they're gonna stay open, and their permits are good to stay open, so. And that's it with me.
Great. Thank you. Linda.
Okay, I want to let you know that I did get, and by the way, Jim, I talked to Charlie Tremblay. He said that he emailed you his resignation. Okay, I need it, because I have to keep all these resignations on file. I just got one today from Judy Vos. This is to inform you that my immediate resignation from the Board of Ethics effective immediately. Thank you for this opportunity. It's been an informative and learning experience. I wish you the best in going forward. So we have another code of ethics that is no longer wants to be on it. The board, as far as I know, Virginia's Vince Lake still wants to be on it. Vince Goit wants to still be on it. All right, that was the one, and I need, if anybody does have resignations, I need the original copies, so just throw it in my office.
I have Erin's I can give you.
Okay. Also, in the village hall today. I had to go to the village hall to pick up something, and she gave me this, Sarah. It was dated January 11th. It's the pilot program. I have not seen this check.
We just got it.
We just got it.
I just got it in the mail today.
Okay. All right, well, I need that because that's part of my taxes. It's got to go to the county. All right, and like I said, I talked to Neil the other day. I've been doing a lot of research because of the way I've been accused of stuff. And I have a letter right here. It says, the town board is not required to, that's the wrong one. Anyway, this is for processing claims.
What is
This
it
is,
being accused of?
huh?
What are you being accused of?
I was asked if, when I put the vouchers in the envelope, which I didn't. According to this, the town clerk gets all the vouchers first.
Okay, it's okay. I
Okay.
don't think you were accused of.
Well, all right, well, things are gonna be changing the way I do things. I will be doing all the vouchers, then Kelly will be getting them. I keep a record, she keeps a record, and I spoke with the, president of the Town Clerks Association. She also informed me that the town board does not have to vote on my minutes. They do not have to accept my minutes. My minutes are my minutes, and they don't have to be voted on. And also, Sarah, you said earlier that none of the board members got December minutes. I beg to differ with you. I gave them to them January 4th meeting.
No, the January organizational meeting is what I was referring to.
No, you said December meeting.
I didn't mean that. The organizational meeting was the meeting I was referring to.
No, they didn't get them. That's correct. They didn't get them because
It's okay.
this is my busy
No
season.
need to get upset.
I'm just explaining, this is my busy season. I have, my number one priority is collecting these taxes. Minutes are gonna be late. Things that you wanna get done aren't gonna get done when you think they should, because I've got Dorothy in here for the last 2 weeks trying to help me. When you bring in $219,000 in one day, there's a lot of paperwork that has to do that, and you have to come out to the penny. So the minutes aren't gonna get done when they should be done. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. Margaret.
I'll stand up over here so these people behind can hear me. This is a report as far as my participation in being co-historian for the year 2015. This past summer, I helped Ron and Dorothy Morrison make repairs to the Route Luke Cemetery, located in the village of Palatine. I told Ron and Dorothy that I would be glad to help and there would be money available, as I was the co-historian for the town and would be paid for that position. The split railing fence needed replacement in some sections, and also a tombstone that had fallen down needed to be placed in an upright position. Bushes needed to be trimmed. We felt this project needed to be done as it was an eyesore for those folks passing by to see it in disrepair. What kind of a place was Palatine Bridge that it would have a cemetery not being kept up? The people buried there are as follows: James H. Ale, Henry A. Gray, Samuel Henderer, Mary Elizabeth Laux, Samuel Laux, Henry L. Root, and Margaret Root. This cemetery is located in the Dutchtown Plaza on the east side of the east entrance to the south of McDonald's. This cemetery was restored and fenced in when the plaza was built, and restored and fenced again in 1982 by McDonald's. The expenses incurred for this project were $129.63. This includes materials of $79.63 and labor of $50. I did not want payment for my gas to go to Fort Plain and Cobleskill to obtain the needed materials. I have receipts for what was spent and plan to just reimburse myself the $120 for my portion of the town's payment to me as co-historian. So the town would have actually paid for this project. It should be noted that Ron and Dorothy Morrison paid for the sign that is at that cemetery. I was a member of the Heritage and Genealogical Society of Montgomery County for the year 2015 and have renewed my membership for 2016. For the short period of time that I was the co-historian, I did enjoy working with Skip. I wish the new historian lots of luck. These are the pictures.
Nice
Like
to
those
know.
papers back, yeah.
Now you get paid.
I did, thank you.
Oh. Good to know.
Neither Skip or I were going to take the money. We were going to use it for projects in the town.
That's good. You guys deserve to get paid.
Thank you, Margaret.
Speaking of historian, is the new one here?
No, he'll be here next month or any time that we ask him to.
I know, it'd just be nice to meet him. I don't even know who he is.
His name is Eddie Watt, and I can give you his number if you'd like to call
And he
him.
lives in Palatine.
He lives right across the street. Okay. Moving on to supervisor remarks. We did receive the list of citations from the Department of Labor, Public Employees Safety Hazards Division, I believe, PET. And none of the violations are insurmountable in any way. They're pretty easy to fix. Actually, one of the Linda, you got a copy, right?
It's on the email, yeah, I
Okay.
haven't printed it out.
Okay, great. One of the requirements is that it's publicly posted, so it should go, the actual citation should go up on this board as soon as possible. But mainly, there was a law passed in 2006 that it's the Workplace Violence Prevention Act, and all employees need an annual training on preventing workplace violence. We need to have a policy in place, and we don't actually need a program in place because we have less than 20 employees. But I did talk to the Department of Labor. They have free consultants that come to help you set up a program. We have a meeting set for, I believe it's Monday, February 8th. Yes, at 5:30 p.m. With Joe Cook, who's the consultant who will tell us what we need to do in order to comply. Everybody is welcome to attend. Who would like to?
I definitely. Yeah, would.
It may be a little late. I have an appointment now.
Okay, I have to attend. So Linda, would you post it, since there will be more, 3 or more?
So it's set for February 8th at 5:30 p.m. at the town hall?
At the town hall. It's a workplace violence program, training.
Workplace violence program training.
For the town board. Basically, they train us, and then we are responsible for doing the training every year. So anybody who has taken the training, you don't need to be certified in any way, would then need to give the training to our employees. The highway guys will have to
We already got it. We've had it for a couple of years.
You already do it?
Oh, yeah. We got fined for it a couple of years ago.
Well, okay, so then if you do it,
I
do
train
you
my
have
guys.
a program in
Yeah.
it? Then what are we being cited for?
Because we don't have it here.
Right.
Those are two separate buildings.
Okay, so, okay, got it. So we were,
Two separate buildings, she
Would you
said.
train us?
No.
No?
all right.
We
so
had,
don't
we had a
have
guy,
to do
we had a guy from the state come and does it. I can do it, but Dominic, we got a guy named Dominic comes every year and does it. But he does all of our training, our hazardous materials and everything. It's a big, long program for us.
that. Oh, okay, so it's totally separate. Okay, so then there would be very few people in that training. But, okay, so at any rate, that's 5:30, and then that will bring us, once we have the policy, once we do the training, we'll then be brought into compliance. Linda, did you talk to Judge Dygert about the violations in his courtroom?
No, he has a list of them.
He has them,
He has a
okay.
list of the violations.
They were mainly like daisy chains.
Well, there's more than that. He only has 2 plugins.
So
He is in, if he doesn't get more plugins, he's still gonna be in violation. because you can't have a plug-in into a plug-in, which he has. He has a lead coming from the plug-in with another lead to run other things, and that's not acceptable.
So if he needs
he's gonna
an
need
additional
more.
outlet, all he has to do is say he needs an additional
Yeah,
outlet.
I'm not sure. He'll have to tell me what he needs, but
Okay.
yeah,
So
he knows.
we have till March to get this taken care of, so if we need to put in a new outlet, let's just do it before March.
Do we need to
February.
make a motion or anything for that? Or can we just, if it's under X, right, we
In
can
the
just have
budget,
it done?
it's
Okay.
just
It's already there.
very
Okay.
small.
Well, let's get that.
He can just do it, yeah. So I'll follow up to make sure all of that gets done, but then we'll be in compliance and we're good to go.
And Lynn needs an outlet? Is that said?
No, that's the
What's that?
court clerk, no.
There's a file cabinet blocking one of the
We already
doors.
moved
That's been
that.
taken care of.
And then they gotta
And
take
this
the
is gonna be gone tomorrow.
voting
That's
machine.
another violation, that's
Okay,
gonna be
got
gone tomorrow.
So
Those had to be done by February first,
Second.
second. But the other one's either a little bit longer, and I think it's the judge's office that's the longest because of the needing outlets.
That's it. That's it?
And then we're good. I have no problem doing a sign-in sheet. Do any of the other council members?
Not at all.
All right, for each meeting where you just have a sign-in sheet to pass around.
You probably should note that it is voluntary, correct?
Mhm.
Just
Well,
so it's
if we just put it,
understood.
if we just put it over there when they get their minutes and everything, they can sign them when they come in.
Yeah, if they
right?
choose.
I do want to address the issue of recorded meetings. Is there anybody that would like to take the lead on making that happen, working with the town attorney to figure out how we can legally record our meetings and stream them?
Yeah, I would like to, because it's part of what we said we would do is also posting our minutes and making transparent all the issues for here, so yes.
Would we need an equipment purchase to do that, for example, a camera, et cetera, et
I'm
cetera?
sure it would be minimal at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would you bring a proposal?
Sure, I sure
for
will.
next meeting, and hopefully we can just take care of that. Thank you. We need to review the local law that defines our Board of Ethics and have a set of recommendations if we want to change it. Our local law conflicts with the best practices recommended by Association of Towns, and that it doesn't include an officer of the town on the board. In fact, it precludes having an officer of the town for the board. So that's a project to take on.
I'm willing to do it.
Fantastic.
We also have 2 vacancies that we should.
And I also have 2 applications.
I think Paul Dodd applied to be one of the board
Right,
members.
Paul Dodd
Paul
did,
Dodd
and
and Margaret.
I believe Margaret did as well.
You have
Yes.
things here.
Well, if we amend the law and include someone from the town, that might change the number of vacancies.
So how can you have a town board member on a code of ethics board?
Actually, the Association of Towns says that's a best practice to have one as a watchdog and a liaison.
Well, they
I
could
just
be,
thought it was an
they could be
employment.
outvoted by a majority of the members if there was something wrong with the board.
We only have 3 members.
So you'll take that on, put together a recommendation?
I'll come up with a draft resolution that
Fantastic.
gives voice to that.
Great, and then we would, based on.
But we could raise, for example, if there's an issue with, say, one of the board members dominating, we could raise the number of ethics board members to say 5 or something of that sort.
But do we have to go out to amend the local law? Do we have to have a local law to amend the local law
Yes.
to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll look into all that.
I will.
Great.
You have the local law for it.
Yes, he does.
The agenda was put up late today. It was put up at about 2 o'clock. And so that's probably, maybe you didn't see it if you had looked before that. So I'll do my best to get it up as soon as I can have it. This meeting, there were a lot of things that came on last minute, so I was just doing my best.
We were gonna discuss the procurement policy and the purchase policy too, that was supposed to be done at the organizational meeting.
So would anybody like to take on drafting a procurement policy?
We already have them there.
It needs to be updated. I'll do it. Procurement, I'll do the procurement and purchase policy. And bring I'll send around a draft before the board meeting and then resolutions. Okay, that's
What
it
about
for.
the investment policy? That's the one
That's the
that,
thing,
that's,
I need the minutes from the organizational meeting to know what's hanging out there.
It's January.
that's the three. No, those aren't.
It's not done yet, so none of it was an emergency, so,
But the, investment policy was in that too, Sarah.
okay,
The three
I'll
of
do
them.
that,
You wanna do all three of them?
yeah. Unless somebody else wants to do the investment
I
policy.
think the investment policy, which you said I had the same page. There was only
yeah.
one page to it. I don't have any other ones, and it was like a number one.
Okay.
So I can give you what I have, but I don't
Okay.
know where the rest of it is.
Great, yeah, none of it is like a crisis, we're fine. Okay, anything else from that we said we'd do?
Well, I was going through some of my stuff today, and remember at the December meeting, you said the animals, we'd already okayed it? We didn't.
Oh, okay,
We hadn't voted on it yet.
okay,
So I've held this off, and I just found it today, and I went through my minutes, and we didn't,
does it have an amount?
it should have. Oh my God, it doesn't.
It doesn't, I know there's a page that does. So
I-
we're talking about adding a motion to approve the heirs contract. This is for the, gives Cheryl the ability to bring animals to
It's
heirs.
always been 1,400. Now, whether, that seems to me if it was gonna change, they probably would have.
I know it didn't change. I
Okay, so
remember
I
there was
think it
a
was
cover sheet, but.
14, or was it 14 or 1450? Do you remember, Cheryl? I don't. I'd have to look at last year's.
Oh, there it is. 4,500.
Oh, 4,500. Oh, okay. Yeah, 4,500, you're right.
Okay. That's it for my comments. Council comments?
May I?
Mhm.
Anybody want to go first? I don't want to monopolize. Okay. A couple of things. Mr. McClone, yes, when we decided to make an appointment of Attorney Dunn, we were well aware that he is also counsel for the Village of Nelliston, which would help us with some shared services there. Also, we made him the attorney of the town, not the town's attorney, and there is a distinction there. And that's so we can get specialized help if we need for particular cases. So we're not honed into just one person to handle everything, okay? And yes, we're aware with the CBU coming aware that we may need some specialized help. We're also fortunate that someone on this board has been a mediator and arbitrator for a number of years. So,
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Also, I wanted to bring up the MacGyver invoice is still out there, and it needs a lot of clarification. It was, if I remember, it was approved as a voucher, but never, because it's extra budget, it had to have a resolution to actually take it from some different fund line, which never was completed at the last meeting. So we do really need to go through it. There was actually some overcharges, just like Attorney Supik's budget, that invoice that had double billing on it and was not caught. I'm glad we did catch that. Okay. And Paul, I've got you on your inquiries on your FOIA, and I think it's just a matter of town record that, you know, I'll double check, but I'm sure if we have them, we're going to give them to you. We're not hiding it. Okay, we want you to have them. And one more thing on, I'm going to work on the official recording of meetings, and we welcome anyone to record meetings as an open meetings law. Association towns, it is law that we can allow anyone to record from the drop of the gavel to the end. Any non-council extra conversations, though, between maybe one board member and a constituent after the meeting is, I don't condone being recorded for that. I do not give my consent for that. If anyone would like to have a discussion, we need to respect the constituent that's having that discussion, and one of those people have to make that aware. But I personally, I am all for transparency, but please be aware that there are some people that may not be aware that they're being recorded, and that, according to New York State, they need to be made aware. Anybody else?
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Any other comments or remarks?
I just know that I was left out of the conversation when the decision was made to hire Greg Dunn. I mean, I have nothing against the man or anything. I know he's an excellent attorney, but I just wished I had been at the meeting when that was decided on.
We're deciding on it today.
Well, there was some people that had approached him to see whether or not he was going to do it, and everybody knew about it but me.
You were on the email list.
I never got it.
You have never opened your town email.
Well, I can't.
If you would like help with it, I'm happy to help you. Just gotta ask. Okay.
There was a stipulation that Greg only wanted to meet with 2 people, and I was originally going to be the second person that went with Sarah, but then the meeting time kept changing, and I had another appointment, so I couldn't even go. So basically, the supervisor, I don't think, for whatever reason, Greg didn't want all of us to show up in his office at once. Maybe it's because,
Well, we can't.
yeah, we would be a quorum if we were to do that.
No, that was me. I said one other person can
Yeah.
go, and I said whoever wants to go.
Yeah, and I volunteered, but then we couldn't do it because of some conflicting schedules.
No, that's not what happened.
Yeah, there is.
I'm remembering. It was December, and you had not been in office. You were not in office yet, so more than one of us, 2 of us could.
Oh, well, who knows?
That's what happened.
I have a memory like an elephant.
Any other? I don't. Any other council
Good.
comments?
Well, I believe that we are proceeding forward here with the past issues. We will get those out of the way promptly, namely that voting machine and whatever other issues we have here. And if Justice Steigert needs outlets, if he would just point it out, I'm all for bringing in an electrician, getting this taken care of. If Linda has any needs, or anyone else within this building has needs, or it's brought forward, I would be in full support of doing whatever need be to satisfy both the passion requirements and make them happy. You know, I just feel that if everyone's happy the way things going, they'll be much more productive. And that goes for all of us here. And I'd like to do whatever we can to make that happen. Make it as pleasant an experience as possible for all. And thank you.
Can I just interrupt your comments to say one thing? Actually, any of the improvements that we do in order to come in line with the PESH citation, up to 75% of it is potentially reimbursable. You have to spend it and then apply for the reimbursement, but you could get up to 75%.
That's even better.
What does that come out of? I'm just curious.
State funding,
It's a state fund.
Department of Labor, yeah.
Good for us.
So maybe he wants more than one L.
Well, if
Give him-
that's,
give him what the money is.
that's what his requirements are, I think we should do our best to get it happen.
Yep. Any other council comments? Great. Make a motion going to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Should we have
Aye.
discussion?
Do you want to?
I would respectfully request that, due to a personnel matter, that Art come into executive session with me.
Okay, let's just actually do that. Let's be clear. We're going into executive session to discuss the pending litigation on the on the court case brought by Bob Subic, the court case brought by Cayman Properties, and the court case brought by Village of Canada-Harry. And you're proposing to add a discussion on
Personnel matter versus highway superintendent personnel matter, or highway personnel matter.
okay, regarding the highway employees.
Yes.
Motion made by Betty,
Seconded by me.
Hank. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Order of the agenda, begin with number 45. So the first one is the resolution to settle the Robert Subic case. There's an attached settlement agreement that needs to be signed.
I didn't have anything. This is all I had.
All right, let's get it, we can get it printed. Oh, well, we have to approve the resolution, but then we need board members to sign the actual settlement. So let's get that printed after.
What resolution number was this?
45. Yeah, so the stipulation of settlement is the piece that's not printed here. Which I'm looking up right now.
I think I seen it in my house.
So to summarize, the stipulation of the settlement is that the petitioner, who is Robert Subic, shall reduce his voucher from the amount of $8,853.16 to the sum of $6,031.25. And also include $145.53 in disbursements for a total of $6,176.78. That this stipulation is in full satisfaction of any and all other claims that the petitioner may have against the town for additional services, and hereby releases the town from any further claim. That the respondents, Sarah Nicoli and the town board of Palatine, shall pay the sum of $6,176.78 to Robert Subic on or before January 31st, 2016. And you all got this by email. I sent it to your private email too. Would anybody like to introduce this resolution?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I think we do it for the best interest of the town, but it's begrudgingly at this point.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Betty abstains. Okay, moving on to the second resolution to appropriate attorney fees in order to actually pay this check, which I've included here, was not previously approved, but tonight we can, with the approval of the board, give the check to Attorney Subic by the 31st as required by the stipulation. In order to pay that, we need to appropriate the $6,176.78 from fund balance to attorney contractual for 2015 because there's no money left in that one. Would anybody make?
What number is this?
It's number 16.
It's 4616.
I so move.
I second it.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say, again, we'll move on to a resolution that includes $20,000 in attorney fees, but there's only $11,500 in contractual. I want to make sure that before we incur an expense, we appropriate it. It's just best practice. But any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Betty abstains. So I, as a courtesy, drafted this resolution regarding the paperwork that we received today from Tom Quackenbush, and which included copies of union cards signed by the employees of the highway, by 5 employees of the highway departments. This letter was received by the town on Monday, January 25th. I, as a courtesy, drafted this resolution. However, I strongly feel that the town has not had the correct opportunity to do due diligence in terms of moving forward. I would very much like to, one, consult with legal counsel who is experienced in labor law and labor negotiations. 2, consult with the attorney, with the Association of Towns, who I did call and haven't had a chance to speak with yet. And then also understand a little bit about the process for the employees. I care a lot about our employees. I want to make sure that they're treated as, as best we can, given our confined budget. So I would prefer not to bring this resolution to the table today, but I did draft it as a courtesy, and if any of the town board members want to introduce it, it's certainly something we could do.
Well, there's no motion on there's no resolution on the table, so I don't have to make a motion to table it right now until it's vetted, correct? So
No,
we can
it's just for
we can just
review.
leave it on the table right now to review until next month. Okay.
Is there a time limit? Because I think if we don't act on it, it does go to...
It could go to her, but we don't, without consulting a labor attorney, we have so many questions, just like that. So I would assume.
Yeah, the Association of Towns, they gave me over 25 pages because there's a lot of issues, like is the deputy highway superintendent part of management, or is he part of? So we really need to clear up a lot of a lot of issues before we can move ahead. And I urge us to be diligent on that, but I acknowledge the employees' right to have a union, and of course, we're gonna work in the best faith possible, but we need to make sure we know what we're doing before we do it.
And if there are any deadlines, that if there's a decision that needs to be made, you know, and our attorney advises that we need to take action before the next regular meeting, then we would just need to call a special meeting.
I strongly agree with that. I do think we need to know any legal ramifications of anything that we do. We don't understand, so we definitely need to have legal guidance in this matter, I do believe. And I'm certainly not against their choice that they would like to have a union. I worked for a union all my life. That's their choice. But again, I just want to agree that maybe we should speak with our legal representative first.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, moving on to the last resolution.
You have two, right?
So, to return bidders' fees. Neil, would you like to explain this?
47, right?
Which number is this?
48.
This would be 47, since we
47.
didn't do,
Excuse me?
yeah.
Because we didn't do 47.
Change that. Second, please, bear with me. Yeah, okay. Our local contractors within this area took their time and effort to get together their bids and so forth. We've chosen to reject those bids. And as a show of good faith, I really feel that we should return those fees, because I'm certain at some point in time we will want to use their services once again, and I'd hate to think that possibly we shoot ourselves in the foot where our locals won't even respond to this. I realize it's going to cost us a little bit of money, but I think in good faith, I really think this is something we need to do, just to show good faith to these contractors that took that time for us.
Yeah. Concur.
I'm a huge cheapo now, and having been around, you know, and tried to negotiate budget, and especially, you know, figuring out, you know, trying to figure out fair employee salaries, my initial response to any expenditure is just no.
Do we know what the dollar amounts are?
Yeah.
Yes, so Kelly, but let me finish what I was saying.
Sure.
Having heard Neil make the case that, you know, in good faith, all of these contractors took the time, in addition to what they paid in terms of fees, they put a lot of time and effort into putting their bid proposals together for a project that, you know, if anybody really was looking closely, we knew it was not going to go anywhere. So I agree with Neil that we should do what we can to act in good faith back. But so the amount was $1,323. Is that correct, Linda?
Mm-hmm.
And there were 27 bid proposals at $49 each. So I didn't have those numbers when I prepared this resolution, but so we would amend the resolution to resolve that fourth paragraph, resolve that the town will return bidders' fees in the collected for the town hall construction back in the amount, we don't have to say that, for the town hall construction project in the amount of $1,323, or for 27 bid proposals at $49 each.
You said 27 a minute ago, I'm confused. Oh, 27 bidders.
27
Bid
bidders.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
There were 27 bidders that had to buy packages.
Yeah.
The packages.
I got it.
And some of them will have multiple, so there could be a check that for 54.
Sure.
You know. So, you moved the,
Yes, I'll move to make that motion that we return the $49 to each of the 27 bidders at a cost of $1,323 to the folks who took their time and effort to submit bids, just as a show of good faith.
Yeah.
second?
Second.
Hank seconds.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, we need discussion.
All right, when I had a couple bidders ask me if the money was refundable, and I did call and ask, and I was told, and I told a couple vendors that the money was not refundable. They knew it when they purchased it.
Okay.
I was told to tell them it was not refundable, so I did do that.
That's okay, yeah, you did the right thing. It was, and there was a clause in the agreement that said as a matter of, it's just pro forma, that any bid package, we had a clause that said that they, it was non-refundable. So this is, they're not expecting a check, this is over and above.
Okay, I just, I was just told, and that's what I told them.
You gave them the correct information, yeah. Seconded by Hank. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstain. I abstain.
Oh, that's a good idea. Bunch of loud voices. Okay, and so the last resolution, and I will just, some people are kind of scratching their heads at this $20,000 number. Do we have the contract here?
Yes, we do.
Oh, great. Okay. So there is $11,500 in our set aside in our budget for, originally it was attorney salary. In the organizational meeting, we transferred it to attorney contractual. Anything over and above that, there's just not money in the budget. So before we spend more than $11,500, we would need to appropriate that money. I can say right now, given the hole that was dug last year, we have outstanding legal cases that need to be dealt with. Attorney Dunn has assured me, and I know individually other members of the board, that he will do everything that he can to settle out of court. He knows that I am paying very close attention to vouchers and the amount of payment that we make, and so he knows that he needs to rein it in. So, however, I know that the $11,500 covers about 4 hours a month in attorney services. Given the legal cases that we have pending, it will very likely go over. So I would recommend that we approve right now, moving forward with the contract and set an amount not to exceed $20,000. We would then need to stay vigilant about the budget. It may be that he spends a lot of time now and less time later in the year, and we stay within the $11,500, and we don't necessarily need to appropriate the additional money. That's my hope, but we'll need to stay vigilant.
Should we have discussion now or after a motion?
If you would like, if you have any proposed changes to the resolution, we should have it now.
Okay, this is my concern. Part of what happened last year wasn't due to anyone's great evil or anything like that. It was due to the fact that there wasn't a firewall between normal services incurred by Mr. Subic and services that were considered extra his normal payment. And my concern is, do we have such a firewall now where we can really specify what ought to fall within the normal contractual amount and what ought to fall as sort of exceptional amounts that are over that.
Mhm. There is. So in the, first of all, we're taking a huge step by having anything in writing.
Yes.
So that's nice. Second, there's a scope in clause number 3. There's a scope of representation paragraph. And above it, it basically says, as needed, up to 4 hours per month for a total of 48 hours for the year. And then, if anything that goes above that, outlined on page 2, costs and disbursements, that number 6, if you just take a minute to read it, that's really the,
So number 6 says we're getting pre-approval on exceptional amounts.
that's right.
Okay.
So he wanted me to know, going into this meeting, for instance, that he is going to go over 4 hours for this month because of the two cases. So and then he's submitting a monthly bill.
Well, we need to know, one thing I would like to know is this sort of per monthly accrual, or is it per yearly max and then add the you see what I'm saying is, if we go over 4 hours a month, is it then liable, or could it get charged off against the main amount later?
I hear what you're saying. Are we keeping a running tally? It's like, can you keep
Or
your
that.
minutes? Can you
Or
keep your
that.
minutes, okay?
Yeah.
And then roll over to the next month. Yeah, if we have nothing pending, we're per hour. This is based upon per hour.
Well, what I'm getting though is if we're paying a monthly,
Right.
then we go over 4 hours, then we get an extra amount that must be paid then, you know? But then the next month he gets,
The 4
1/12.
hours.
I mean, will it be a-
1/12 of a something.
I guess we could, right. You want to know if there's going to be a reconciliation somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
I get you on that.
I would imagine that there are not going to be many months that there are less than 4 hours.
Sure.
Even when it's slow.
Okay.
So, just to be really, I mean, it's one thing to be optimistic, but to really think about reality. Say we get through all this pending litigation, one of the main projects that's needed to get done now for years is a compilation of town law. There's no one place where all of our town law exists, so it's actually really hard to know what our town law
I
is.
think Betty's got it.
Yeah, but it's not updated.
Just teasing.
Their laws kind of,
I have up to a certain year, I think it was.
yeah. So that needs to be compiled. There are, and then the comprehensive plan.
Sure.
So, I don't foresee having months where there's just nothing, We do save a lot by not having him sit here for 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having him actually doing law work that we need done is a good thing.
I also fear what should be familiar to all of us, whatever side we were on, the idea that the attorney's sort of driving the whole business. So if, for example, on a comprehensive plan, I think this really ought to be driven more by the board than any attorney. And that's an issue that we implicitly had all last year.
Yeah, well, any resolution, and we should move, this is something that we really, resolutions need to be brought by individual council members.
Sure.
So like Neil's resolution tonight was a perfect example. This was something that he really introduced.
Yeah.
It was his, he owned it. Rather than having one person, me, or the town attorney show up with a bunch of resolutions for you to pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like you'll be doing, you'll do the video resolution, you'll do the,
Sure.
you know,
Ethics
that's
board,
better.
Okay.
Yeah. But having a town attorney showing up with resolutions that the council's never seen.
I never said a thing.
Let's not do that.
Yes, let's not. Okay, so back to this. I hate that we're gonna go over budget, but it's a necessary evil, especially including the 3 cases we have pending, and we had to go back and dig up a lot of background on some of the stuff, so we're gonna pay for it.
And just to be clear, it's kind of like Artie's resolution earlier. This just, it makes it so that it can go over, but it doesn't necessarily need to. We must do a budget transfer before we incur the expense.
Yeah, you're bracketing off an extra $8,000 odd dollars for exceptional expenses.
So I'll introduce that. I'll make the motion to enter into the contract with Greg Dunn.
I'll second.
What resolution number?
It's 48.
48.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Betty abstains. To the motions.